She's a firebending prodigy. My father says she was born lucky. He says I was lucky to
Boy,
be born.
I love some deep dives since Avatar's back in the news. Thought this was worth it because Azula is one of the best characters in Avatar. And this ain't a lie. There's a bunch of great characters.
When I think of the Fire Nation royal siblings, the first thought in my head is born lucky. Zuko says this while having captured Aang in the Northern Water Tribe, as he recalls how his father said he was lucky to be born, while Azula was born lucky.
And when this was
But the
being
more
said, she wasn't even in a picture yet. This was foreshadowing her because Zhao was the fucking antagonist here. Also good antagonist.
Think of Azula, the more I think that while Azula might have been born lucky, her quote-unquote luck ran out as the series unfolded. I'm not here to look too much into Azula's psychology, as Hello Future Me did a great in-depth breakdown of her mind. I'm more interested in looking at if Azula is truly capable of deserving redemption, and how the Princess of the Fire Nation is the true tragedy of the series. This is me mounting a defense for Azula.
She truly was Ozai's perfect kid, and she was warped. She probably was warped when she was born, but she could have turned out a different way. It's just like her and Zuko was yin and yang, basically.
Fire Lord Ozai saw his daughter as nothing more than a pawn in his plan for domination. A daughter who was loyal and who would do anything imaginable if it meant pleasing him. And over time, that loyalty and willingness to please turned Azula into a cold-hearted perfectionist. As she shadowed him, fear became Azula's most powerful weapon, as it was his. She feared her father, and so Azula would never dare talk back to Ozai. She wouldn't even dare disrespect him in the slightest, and her mind followed suit. So when Zuko was burned by his father's hand, I believe her reaction explains this. When Iroh returned from his...
This is going to be, and I wonder if he talks about it, Zhao's just a bastard. He just takes misery, like he just takes joy in people's misery. Azula basically is the embodiment of her father, so he was happy, so she was happy.
siege broken, her reaction also explains this. From Ozai, she was led to believe that only strength mattered, and that those who defy that power deserve to be burned. With that idea in mind, she shut off her sense of compassion and empathy to make room to be the perfect weapon. Everything Azula believed in, every action was in the name of her father. While Zuko can be praised for his hard work, becoming a skilled swordsman and a skilled firebender without an aptitude for it, Azula combined her natural talent with a work ethic that had her craving perfection. That work ethic resulted in one of the most skilled firebenders that we would see in the series, elevating her flame to a unique blue, unlike anyone else, and being able to generate lightning under any mental state.
Was there ever an explicit explanation on why her fire was blue? It may be just like fucking gone off my mind, but I don't know if that was ever really explained, except for her just being a badass.
But for Ozai, she wanted to be perfect in every aspect. Even her design amplifies that perfection and maturity. Her hair is always neatly kempt. She wears lipstick that makes her appear older than she actually is.
She is Zuko's younger sister. So what was she, like 16 at the time?
Physical feats of acrobatics, her expertise in the use of fear, manipulation, and emerging as a more than capable leader, one who succeeded in taking down Ba Sing Se, are all reflections of this goal that she sought.
Mind you, Iroh failed in his prime to do that. Now, technically, I don't know, it's like plot convenience that she snuck in and did the way she did, but like she did what grown man with armies couldn't do when she had an army, but you get what I'm saying.
And further, when the moment called for it, she had the presence of mind to just about kill the Avatar for good. Again, all in the name of her father. Azula did anything Ozai asked, and when she needed him the most, and his love specifically, on the verge of her breakdown, Ozai pushed her to the side, mentally abusing his daughter for the last time. While Ozai was the biggest reason for Azula's outcome, Ursa and Zuko are also important factors. As Zuko demonstrated to Ozai that he wasn't the prodigy that Azula was, he quickly pushed him to the side, which is where Ursa enters. In Zuko alone, we see her love and care mostly through his perspective. Ozai clearly had a favorite child, and Ursa had to redirect the majority of her attention towards Zuko to ensure that he didn't feel abandoned, and further when she sacrificed herself to protect him. This is where Zuko's story begins, but it's also where Azula's story begins. When Ursa left, it was damaging for Zuko. She left him alone with Ozai. The Fire Lord abused Zuko physically, mentally, and emotionally, followed by his banishment.
He basically did everything possible to get rid of the motherfucker. It's like, this story could have easily been told from Zuko's point of view, because he did everything. Physically abused him, mentally abused him, and when I saw that didn't break you all the way, get the fuck on up out of here. I'm tired of looking at you.
Almost impossible goal.
Bro, I'm just echoing what he says. But think about how crazy it was. Zuko wasn't even a man yet. Bro, you need to go find the Avatar, which hasn't been done in 100 years. Don't know where the nigga went to. And bring him back. Most people thought around this time that he was just training. Why he disappeared. Bro, you weren't going to get fully grown Aang. That wasn't happening. Aang was going to get Zuko up out of here.
But fortunately for the prince, he had Iroh to fill the void. Through the 4 nations, he had his uncle, someone who would push him to do better, to be better, and to want more out of his life, and who was by his side through his darkest days. Azula never had that. She never had anyone to tell her that she could be more than Ozai's daughter. Lee and Lo were loyal servants to their country, and that was the closest she had to another figure. And in mentioning Iroh and Zuko, it leads me to question if Azula was deserving of redemption, as her other family members were.
True, because
as I look at,
you have to imagine that he grew from his son dying, but Iroh was a dog back in the day.
What Azula has done in comparison to what other characters have done, especially other redeemed characters, it is important that she is held to that same standard. Azula almost killed Aang and took over Ba Sing Se as her 2 most damaging actions. But let's compare that to Zuko, who sent an assassin after Aang, nearly destroyed Kyoshi Island, attacked the Southern Water Tribe, and also played a big part in Aang's injury. Further, let's compare that to the Dragon of the West, Iroh, the accomplished war general, who almost burned Ba Sing Se to the ground. What separates Azula from her family members here is that she wasn't given the opportunity to change.
She never was given the opportunity to fail. Both Zuko and Iroh failed, and that allowed them to grow. Azula's one failure finished her off.
Azula is 14 years old, abused and taught that power, strength, and that she and the Fire Nation have a right to rule over the world. The princess was taught to be a conqueror instead of a 14-year-old kid, and the beach highlights this. Up until that point in Avatar, Azula was a heartless monster. And the beach reveals Azula, the socially inept 14-year-old.
Careful. You could puncture the hull of an Empire-class Fire Nation battleship, leaving thousands
Nah, bro, this
to drown
was sad,
at
and
sea.
it's how you also tell that it wasn't really her fault, because she doesn't know how to be a 14-year-old. Like, all she knows is war. That's all she was brought up on.
The beach illustrates Azula's facade. Being by her father's side means that she can't have weaknesses like emotion, because that's how Zuko got banished.
Here at Papa John's, we know our stuff.
We know how to hand stuff our crust with more flavors than anyone else.
You can't treat me like this. You can't treat me like Zuko.
And in the beach, she displays an ability to feel not only empathy, but pain also. Empathy towards Ty Lee when she makes fun of her, immediately apologizing to her after realizing that she was hurt by that.
Oh, Okay, calm down. I didn't mean what I said. Look, maybe I just said it because I was
This
a little...
episode, I thought she was going to turn the same route as Zuko, and they were going to take down their father together. I thought that.
jealous.
And later in that episode, she actively seeks out Zuko when he leaves the party to join her, showing concern for her brother.
I thought I'd find you here. Come down to the beach with me. Come on. This place is depressing.
And finally, she shows pain.
I could sit here and complain how our mom liked Zuko more than me, but I don't really care.
Bringing that up was crazy.
Azula,
It's people wanted everything, and this is not me trying to big myself up. I win a lot, and I kind of feel for Azula because I mask winning with others. Like I mask winning, the thrill of winning over like stuff that really haunts me. Bro, she conquered Ba Sensei at this point, and still her mother loving Zuko more than her, which was like years ago, is the only thing that's on her mind.
displays that this in fact did hurt her. While playing it off like it wasn't a sob story, Azula exposes the fact that she sees herself as a monster.
My own mother thought I was a monster. She was right, of course, but it still hurt.
She doesn't even have her own identity anymore. She has lost it in the pursuit of pleasing her father. Azula's guise was that she was cold and unfeeling, that she didn't care about anyone and especially not her mother, even once taunting Zuko with Ursa's presence. But in reality, her mother was the one person she desperately needed attention and validation
Or
from.
that from
and she
Ozai, but the right way.
knew it.
I know what you really think of me. You think I'm a monster.
I think you're confused.
Through Zuko alone, Ursa never mistreated Azula. She scolded her daughter when she acted out of line, compared to the praise that she received from her father. And Azula's breakdown further tells the truth about this.
Even you fear me.
No, I love you, Azula.
The princess of the Fire Nation did not understand the family dynamic. Zuko needed Ursa because Ozai favored her, leading her to erase all traces of the love that her mother had for her. Though regardless of that favoring of her, Azula clearly didn't feel loved by the person she needed it from, which leads me to question Ursa's parenting after
She was
Ozai.
scared of Azula though. Like Azula was a scary person. And she was also scared to do something to Azula, like not hurt her, but like discipline her in fear of what Ozai would do to her.
The princess of the Fire Nation, however, is not without faults. She had Mei and Ty Lee, friends who always respected her, but she manipulated them into fearing her, and ultimately was betrayed because of it. A clear result of Ozai's parenting. Again, Azula had no one. She never had an Iroh to guide her. Azula didn't even have Ursa to shape her own identity in the same way that she and Iroh did for Zuko.
That's who you are, Zuko. Someone who keeps fighting even though it's hard.
She wasn't someone who never gives up like her brother.
For Zuko, a pearl dagger from the general who surrendered when we broke through the outer wall.
Never give up without a fight.
So who exactly is Azula? What is her identity? Let's not forget that she too had good and evil inside of her, like Zuko. She too was the great-granddaughter of Avatar Roku and Fire Lord Sozin. But because she was under Ozai's tutelage, the only thing she ever was a prodigy. Azula was only ever born lucky.
She's a true prodigy.
This is why Deadass parenting is hard, because even if you have a prodigy child, you can't let them just devote their time to that, even though they could be famous and this and that, because it's going to break them in the end. They still need to be a real person. All this, like, I didn't remember the writing being this great, but like this is real life. And you could take Azula and just switch her out from a firebender to a goddamn basketball player. If she's treated the same way, she's going to achieve the same exact results, and it's still going to be her being like maniacal like this.
It is also for these reasons stated that makes Azula the perfect foil to Zuko. And the fact that her final moment in the show is her breaking down, after being bested by her brother, crying and screaming and chained down, makes her story and her tragedy that much more heartbreaking.
She was so powerful. She's not even in her prime yet. They had to make her emotionally unstable for it to make sense that Zuko beat her and Katara, because she would have washed both of them if she was still stable mentally.
For not receiving said redemption, in my opinion, was the perfect ending for her story. Azula showing the ability to feel, showing off her humanity in the beach, further displaying that humanity as she wailed in front of her brother and Katara. I don't see an evil monster. I see a misguided girl, a 14-year-old. The Fire Nation princess was nothing more than a girl who was a victim of circumstance. Someone who could have amounted to more in that world. A girl who needed love and who needed to be more than the born lucky prodigy.
I'm sorry it has to end this way,
Go follow my
brother.
boy. Wow, I think you could have got more in depth with it, and I'm gonna check them out. Just because I love this video, and I love a good anime breakdown. But no, that's the truth. It was she was unlucky. She was unlucky to be the favorite from the madman. She was the favorite of the guy that was destined to lose. And there's nothing more to say about that. I heard that she did redeem herself in the comics. I've never read the Avatar comics, but I heard they're good. I heard that they're following, making doing a sequel to with the original gang. It would be cool if they included that, just because, bro, she was a great character. I think we already got our antagonist who wouldn't change their ways with Zhao, with him being sucked into the spirit world because he wouldn't accept Zuko's hand. So I think there's room for Azula to grow. But tell me how y'all think about her down below. Was she worthy of redemption? Was she really that much of a monster compared to other people like Zuko and Iroh and even Ozai? Let me know down below. Recommend me more videos down below. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss more content like this.